Oh, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. A very warm welcome to Silver Tent TV. I'm your host, Siobhan Reardon, along with my dog Elsa, who, as we know, can very occasionally join in, and we just go with the flow. The Silver Tent is an online global community for women over 50. It's a place where you can come to be nurtured and supported through this important transition in our lives from mother to crone. And it's also a place where it's a platform to share the wisdom that women have accumulated over the years. And it's with that in mind, I'm delighted to welcome Sandy Gilchrist. Very warm welcome to you, Sandy.
Oh, Siobhan, thank you for having me.
So Sandy is the founder of Healing Parents of Estranging Adult Children, and works as a coach and supports parents who have become estranged by their children, and also children and families. And so we're here to talk about, it's a topic, Sandy, really, that's very much a taboo. We don't really talk about it. Why do you think that is?
Oh, yeah, a number of reasons. The first one, I think, is that there's a lot of shame attached. A lot of parents feel shame because very often the first question that they get asked is, well, what did you do? And that immediately closes us down, makes us think it's our fault. And I think that's one of the most common, and also that we feel like it's just us, that actually we did do something wrong, that it is our fault, that we are to blame. So I guess it's shame that mainly makes it hidden, this thing that keeps it hidden.
And you're very much a leader in the world today, as someone that's trying to break this taboo and to start talking about it. You've, in 2019, you've been in Florida conducting a conference, and you're back there in Colorado next year, and then having conferences here in the UK. What's the experience from those conferences, and how people responding to this opportunity to break the taboo?
Oh, thank you for that compliment. There are a number of us who are bringing this into the public domain. I've forgotten what the second part. What did you ask me there, Siobhan?
Yeah, so I was asking you how people are responding to the conference, and what are you learning from taking it out to a wider audience?
That's a big question. So if I can peg it back a little bit into the group that I set up, that has very much been sort of the first step into becoming more confident in what I'm saying, my own confidence in sharing my own experience. So to take it out into a wider, more public realm has been another step into that. What I'm learning is that I'm getting past my fear of so many things, like public speaking, sharing delicate, sensitive information that people find very emotive. I'm learning how to handle my own emotional palette and range and responses and reactions sometimes, and also how to handle other people through the difficulties of what I've coined as a living bereavement. You know, it's like it's a death of a relationship and a death of dreams. So yes, I'm learning lots, and I'm learning on the go, so to speak, because there aren't too many people. There's a handful of people that I'm aware of who are bringing this into the public realm, and so I'm exploring what they're doing, but also I'm doing my own thing, which feels quite risky at times.
And the other side of that coin, of course, is trailblazing. You know, you're walking paths that the road less travelled, so to speak. So you operate as an estranged parent coach. Tell us a bit more about that work and how it works.
Well, there's a number of ways that I do it. The first way was me opening a Facebook group, which allowed me to then have one-to-one conversations with people in the group, and also group discussions around particular themes. So that's something that I do daily. I deliver that service. It's free of charge. It's like it's where we can all gather together and share our experience, and I can bring in bits and bobs that I see that might help people to move along on this path. I have some personal coaching clients that I do one-to-one work with, And interestingly, that brings in other aspects of their lives, you know, because this affects so many areas of our lives. It affects our wider relationships with other people. It affects our mental health, emotional health, physical health. So, and communication skills. So those are the things that I work with. And I've recently opened a new group called Reconciling Parents of Returning Adult Children, which is a small group. It's a paid membership group, and in there's some specific content that I'm delivering. So it's really more intensive and a bit more focused, and skilling us up into what happens when our children do come back into our lives, because invariably this is what I see, that the children do come back, they knock on the door, and often we're left with not very much resources to help us through that step. So
And it's inevitable, Sandy, that, you know, people are going to be asking, well, what led you into this work?
Yeah. Well, I think I talk about we, so I think that indicates that I have my own experience of this. I've got 3 adult daughters and 4 grandchildren and a step grandson too recently, that I don't have any connection with through their choice. So it's through my own experience that I've decided. In 2016, it became clear that I was dealing with something that I didn't have much information, much resources around me. I didn't have a help place to go to. I didn't even know what the word estrangement was at that time. So a massive learning curve for me. And as a relationship coach, it felt really pertinent. It felt really I can't think of the word, but it felt like a really good decision to really be specific in this field. It sort of like was sort of like goddess given to me, if you like. It feels like I've found my purpose. It feels like I've found a real place to be where I can support myself and support others through this.
And I love the sound of your reconciliation group as well. And it sounds like it's a service that's growing as you come to understand it more and more.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's an evolving thing. I think once we get through, there's definite stages that I see. I've learned so much by witnessing myself and witnessing others going through their process and their journey. There's definitely the process of grieving at the beginning, and then there's something in the middle, which is like no person's land. I nearly said no man's land then. No person's land. And then moving into something where we reconcile with ourselves, find out what our life is about now these children aren't in our lives, and also skill ourselves up to the possibility that these children might return one day. So I think it feels like this is the way that I'm flowing with it rather than forcing it. It seems like to be evolving on its own, really. It's quite amazing.
And of course, you're sharing your experience in the Silver Tent as well. You've set up a kind of offshoot group for coaches, and you're sharing some of that experience that you've learned to help other women who are developing that coaching role.
Yeah. Jules Williams and I don't quite know how these things evolve, but we did say, shall we do this? And she said, yes, let's. So we've done that. We've set up it's the Synergy Collaboration, Coaches Collaboration Group, yeah.
And I know lots of women have joined it and are finding it really helpful as having a safe private space to go and explore their role as coaches in life.
Yeah, I like to think so. And there's lots of discussion around the different is it genres, is that the right word? The different modalities,
yeah, would that be a word?
That we use. Because there's some of us who are very highly qualified, very highly paper qualified, and then there's some of us who are working with the more esoteric, less known domains. And I think for me, what it is about bringing those different modalities all together so that we can all benefit from each other's experience. Yeah, it feels good to be doing that. It feels like collaboration. I think it's wonderful.
And it also feels a bit like paying forward as well.
Yeah, possibly. I hadn't thought of it like that. And yes, I guess that could be seen like that. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, these groups take our time, don't they? And having to host them and facilitate them and and it's all done free of charge. So that's where the paying forward comes in for me.
Mm.
So we're off to Colorado next year. Tell me about what's the conference going to be exploring?
Okay, so the conference is a 2-day event. It's a conference and workshop. So typically in Mother's Day, Mothering Sunday in the States is in May. Ours is in the UK, it's in March. So last year we did Florida over Mother's Day weekend, and it seems like we're doing it in Colorado over the Mother's Day weekend. So it'll be the 9th and 10th of May. Get this, in the town called Loveland. Isn't that amazing? So I have a couple of very lovely ladies. I've got Gloria Cush and Janet Kesey-Smith, who are over in the States, and they're helping me set this up. So on the Saturday, the conference is going to be me speaking about my experience, and it's also going to be looking at the types of estrangement that they are, the reasons that we are discovering why children estrange from their parents, and also talking about the effects on us as parents as a result of our children's decision. So that's the Saturday day taken care of. On the Sunday, and the Saturday is open to anybody who is interested in wanting to know more, who is a member of Healing Parents, the Facebook group, but also those people who want to know more about estrangement and maybe who are local and just want to come and have a look and see what's going on. And then on the Sunday, it's a workshop, and that is just for members of the service. So anybody who's a Healing Parents member can attend that workshop. And in the workshop, it's looking at feelings management, it's looking at communication skills, it's looking at forgiveness and gratitude, and a little bit about our story, the story that we tell ourselves in our minds, looking at the inner thoughts. So it's a whole sort of like range of different areas to look at around this.
And just in the last few minutes, do you have a story to share with us of something that you're proudest of as you've gone on this journey and the people whose lives you've touched? Is there a story that jumps to mind about, I did a good job there?
There is a situation, a story of what I'm experiencing in the group. Is that what you mean?
I mean someone whose life you've touched by the group or by your coaching interventions.
Yes, I've had lots of people who have said this group has saved my life. I can't think of a particular story. Once we've stopped this, I'm sure that I will. And the main thing is that people say, thank goodness it's not me. I thought I was the only one. You've given me so much more to think about. I've not looked at things like this in this way before. So those are the common themes that I get from people who give me that feedback. Sometimes I do handle people who are talking about taking their own life. So, and when I say that, it feels really quite emotional in me to say that, because I'm aware that I carry this group of people who are very much in deep pain, and who I've been in that deep pain and know exactly that they're touching the dark spot in their life. And I know that with support and with love and with kindness and with validation of their experience, because that's another thing that I sought for. Nobody at the beginning was telling me, gosh, Sunday, that's really awful what you're going through. Mm. That validation that people want so that they can feel on solid ground again and come up from that dark place and see people blossoming and actually leaving the group, leaving the service and saying, bye, I'm sorted. And then they come back in at Christmas time just to retouch, where they're at and how they're struggling with it. Mother's Days, Thanksgiving, Christmas, Easter, birthdays, weddings, babies being born, all those trigger days that we all have as this thing evolves. And I do say that I see this as an evolving thing. I don't see it cut and dried at all. I think it's something that is ever growing, evolving. Our children are growing, they're doing their thing. Maybe they hit their 40s and decide that they want to make some changes and come back into our lives. Maybe not. But either way, I see that the service that I provide helps people mainly mothers, to get back in touch with who they are and what they want for their lives, seeing as though maybe their dream of being mum and grandma as for now has been parked. And yeah.
Brilliant, thank you. And Sunday, if I wanted to get in touch with you, how would I go about doing that?
Yeah. Facebook group Healing Parents of Estranging Adult Children. sundaygilchrist.com is my website, and sundaygilchrist@gmail.com is my email.
Brilliant, and we'll put that in the text below the video. But it's been fascinating talking with you, and thank you so much for sharing your story and what's grown from it.
Yeah, thanks Siobhan, thanks very much, thank you.
Wherever you are in the world, if the sun isn't shining in your skies, may it shine in your heart. This is Siobhan Reardon signing off.